Good morning, Farshad.
Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Very well. It's Labor Day today, Farshad, September 6th, Monday, September 6th, here in Vancouver. It's a beautiful day. And where are you, Farshad?
I am at work as usual. I was
Farshad,
at work yesterday too.
you're always at work, Farshad. Well, it's a hot time. It's the end of the year. I'm just introduction. My name is Doug Brown. I don't work for Doubleview. I'm an investor with the Doubleview Gold Corporation, based here in Vancouver. So I'm representing other interested investors in the stock. I'm here with Farshad Shirvani, who's the president of Doubleview, and he's been good enough to sit with me for a few minutes to answer some questions that the investor group has got. So again, thank you for spending your Labor Day with us, Farshad.
Thank you. Maybe the investors don't know, but Doug speaks several languages, as I heard. Can you welcome the Chinese investors today and say something to our Chinese investors?
Oh, okay. I haven't prepared for that at all, but 欢迎你们中国人，要是你会说中国话我想你了解所有我的说的话。So yeah，今天是9月6号，是 Labor Day，我不知道怎么说 Labor Day 讲中文，但是是 something and 下个次我希望我可以讲多一点中文。So
Great.
Farshad, okay.
Thank you.
I think that was correct. Let's see. I live in Vancouver now. I don't speak Chinese very much, so
Yes,
yeah.
that's good.
So Farshad, we're primarily the board that I am a member of is the Telegram chat board. Very good, serious, qualified investors on that. There are other chat boards out there. I won't mention them by name, but there's some really, I would say, low grade. Well, it's a good comparison to mining, some low grade chat rooms out there. So I just wanted to get your opinion. I know you go around and take a look at these sites. So what's your comment on some of these sites that are not the Telegram chat?
Yes, believe it or not, I rarely go on these chat rooms. Maybe once in the past year, maybe three times, 5 minutes. Maybe, and I had to go and just read a couple of comments. But I have a very good advice for everyone. If you don't know the person, if you don't know the phone number, the email, their real personality of this person, their advice is with some agenda. And that agenda can be anything, into buy a stock or sell a stock or go to somebody else. And those are illegal, first of all. Second, we have to use our own judgment to know them. For instance, I know a person coming and giving false statements or saying, I'm a geologist. I know. I believe it or not, even the geologists, sometimes they really make statements that they don't know what they're talking about, let alone the person I know right now who's not a geologist and giving advice to people. Guess what? If a person giving you 200 times advices, he doesn't care about you. He cares about some other agenda.
Right.
And that's what he's pushing. So we got to be careful. We can't go advise people buy, sell the stock, and etc. When you receive that kind of advice, there's something wrong. Okay, we got to be very careful. That's my advice to you guys. And right now, for instance, it's obvious, it's in the public market that some entities, big entities, shorted the stocks, some collecting the stocks. We don't know where they're going, and really flavor of someone. And, you know, people phoning me, I understand from their talk that they are short. We have let the regulators to know. You can let them know too. IROC is one of them. They can't talk about investigations, but from our conversation, I believe strongly that I should say yes, that they are investigating the definitely short sellers. They are investigating those days that, or possibly almost every day, our stock has been manipulated to run it down and get more shares out of it, cover their shorts and don't fall into those traps. If you have problems, even with myself, you have problem with me and you think I'm doing something really wrong, go to BC Securities Commission. Why don't you do that? Really, I'm very happy to, they look into our books, because when you are squeaky clean, you don't have any problem. And also for the others, when they do trades like that, go to IROC, file a complaint, because they listen to you. This is your investment. Why don't you do that? Because what I did my best. I phoned IROC surveillance several times. I've given them their concern on behalf of shareholders and on behalf of myself as a shareholder, and also as the president and CEO. I've given them several times concern. In fact, today I sent an email about what I feel one of the shorters phoning for to cover the short, and they have to know it, because this is illegal what they've done, and they have some criteria to cover their shorts. And I believe some of our shareholders gave them enough to cover 6.5 million shares. But still, I see there's more. It's not what you see. The short as I know it, naked short doesn't. They don't report it. And also, I'm sure this is going to go to SEC for US. And I think that it's gone to them too. They are investigating, because this is a big deal. You push the stock of a company down like this to make money and short it. There are criteria behind them. They can't just go and short it like, nobody's business. It's gone for too long and too far. So someone has to look into it. You got a concern, IROC, SEC, just go to them, report them.
All right, well, thanks a lot for that, Farshad. Also, investors should be aware, you can go on to the IROC site and take a look at the short position for any stock traded in Canada. Doubleview is certainly in there. And there's two reports on the IROC site. One is the short sale trading statistics summary. It's kind of a mouthful, but that tells you the number of shares that were shorted and traded during each 2-week period throughout the year. And there's another report on there called the Consolidated Short Position Report, the CSPR. That tells you at the end of the 2-week period how many shares were shorted at that time. So it's actually interesting, quite looking through this. I know that in the month of August for Doubleview, there were exactly 9 million shares traded, shorted shares traded, and at the end of the last reported 2-week period for the Consolidated Short Position Report, there was, I think, 400,000 shares outstanding that were shorted. So you've got 400,000 shares shorted at the end of the period, 9 million trading in the month of August. So there's a huge amount of short volume going on. Okay. Anyways, I'll get back to
there are two other sources as well. Shortdata.ca. It's giving all in all short what is being reported, a combination of US and Canada.
Okay.
That's what IROC told me. They use it as well. But if you want to see the most important short is the short when the stock moves from Canada to US or the other way around. That's where it gets murky. Okay. And if you go on OTC as well, OTC market, the OTC market as well showing daily short.
Okay,
which is
really
a very big number. Yes, all the time I look at it and I say, what? Today I had, for instance, 1 million shares short, and no one pays attention perhaps. What are they feeding on? They're feeding on fear. They're feeding on misinformation. The person gets shaky hands. They get nervous. Oh my God, the stock is moving. They're only looking for anything, even 20,000 shares, 30,000 shares. It covers them and it gives them the benefit. If they don't get it, sometimes they go lower. Now the question people ask me, how far are they going to go? As far as they can get stock sold. That's how they're going to go.
Right. And that's why I think the start of this chat was about chat room, qualifications. There aren't any well, there are some qualified people on those chats, but most of the people don't to me provide high value information. Anyways, one thing on the Telegram chat that we're all part of, I personally administer that site. I know everybody on that chat. I know their email, I know their phone number, I know their real name, their location, and how they became involved with the share with the stock. Okay, so that's it's a chat room for serious investors. There's still, we have fun on there as well, but it's more qualified. Okay, so if anybody wants to join, just find me on Telegram and send me an invitation. Okay. So moving on, Farshad, there's a couple other things I wanted to speak about. Can you just update us on Scandium? That seems to be the favorite mineral of the day.
Yes, I receive emails, of course, asking me about the Scandium and what we're doing. We've done our initial analysis as well as new ones, as we have been asked to send rocks. Almost about half a ton sample have been sent to the lab. I believe it's some was just sent on Friday. This is a big deal. It cannot be just done on a dime and do it the next day, get the assay results. It's not like that. It's not assaying that we are doing. We are doing metallurgical work that is a complex work, and our metallurgist is working diligently on it to be done rightfully and perfectly. We may have to repeat it because it's been a big deal. If you look at some of the market caps on companies coming with Scandium, they go 200, 300, $500 million market cap companies, because this Scandium is becoming a thing of future. Although the market hasn't yet, all in all, general market hasn't started, but it'll start on copper, cobalt, and Scandium. They're going to be the batteries of future, and that's what we hear. That's why it's a big deal. And for us, in order to be doing this, we got to be precise. We just can't go out there and say, okay, we got the Scandium. Now, how come we are not reporting that? Yes, we have it in the assays, but we don't have it recoverable. We did it for copper, gold, cobalt, and palladium. We said they're recoverable. They mean value. Scandium is value when we have it recoverable. Otherwise, before that, it's good. It's a dream. But in order to come true, we have to do our job and finalize it and give it to investors.
It's a great point to bring up, Farshad. I don't think that anyone should forget about the fact that this is a primarily copper porphyry system, Doubleview. Okay, it's going to be a copper site, and the fact that there is cobalt there is great. The fact that there's scandium and palladium there is just great. Okay, so I don't see you shifting the focus away from copper to scandium and cobalt, but it's good to bring it up, though, right? I mean, you've got a lot of scandium, and scandium is very valuable, so why not talk about it? Okay, so all right. Well, getting back to the name of the game, just on copper. Okay, you announced recently that you're up drilling again. So I want to just have you give a layout for us what is involved with, like, setting up the rigs, etc. How many rigs you've got? Is it one, or we've talked about two? How many holes you're going to drill? I think I'll just open it up wide. Well, one thing I would like to say before that is, and I'm going to guide you as far as you're willing to go on conclusiveness around this drilling program, Farshad. I mean, you're not drilling just for the sake of drilling. The conclusion of all this is going to be you believing that you've got a sufficient number of assayed core samples that you can give to a qualified person to complete a resource estimate in Canadian terms of 43-101, 43-101. That is a I guess it would be a legally binding document that says, I am a qualified person. I've looked at these core samples for this property, and this is what I believe to be the mineral, composition of the property. And a mining company would look at that 43-101 and use it to base their valuation of the property. Okay, and then sit down and talk with you. So that's the conclusion, the end result of all this. can you just tell us where you are now with the drilling program, and then, but in as much as you can, I'd like to have you talk about the conclusiveness of the drilling program. And if you don't, I'll bring it up with you. Okay.
Okay, sure. First, allow me to touch up on something. It's great, and you brought up a point that we are actually a copper porphyry to start with. Copper is very important, is in demand, and it's going to be the future of this project. Absolutely. Yes, we get gold with it. Perfect. It adds to the value. Cobalt, perfect. It adds to the value. Palladium, it adds to the value. Now, some criticize and they look at the deposit, and I receive those calls and they say, hey, listen, how about the grade? Our target is not low grade, high grade. I'm reading from my spreadsheet right here. I have 13%, 12%, 10%, 9%, 9, 9, 9, 8, 7, 7, 7, 6, 6, 6, countless of those numbers that they make a very high grade but low tonnage, very, very high grade, low tonnage deposit. This is not our target. The target is a massive volume that we were looking for and low grade, because what we're looking for is the value in the big scheme of the game, which is a large porphyry, 100-year target. That's what we're looking for. Hopefully more. That's what I'm looking for. Now, in order to build that type of porphyry and the drilling that you're pointing out to, we have to build this volume. And I said it in the past too. We provided a drill plan that you see it right now. It's drill hole, two of the drill holes. Please allow me to put it in front of me as well so I can see it. Two of the drill holes are going to show us the lateral extension of this deposit. And this lateral extension will be tested with drill hole 38 and drill hole 39 that they show us on the left hand side. I don't know if they're going to be the end of it, because we may have to go even beyond that. At least on the west side, we know the drill hole 39 is just between drill hole 6 and drill hole 17. They are mineralized. So drill hole 6 is also mineralized. We may have to go even further. How far we have to go? Thank God, if we have the mineralization, once we have the mineralization, we have to go a step out until we don't see anything. So far on that drill plan, we are in the mineralized zone. Now we got north and the south. On the north side, we have two drill holes that we have shown in there, drill hole 40 and 41. Those are going to test two things. 41 is the place that we had the highest gold picked up off the property prior to us by prospectors. And we are testing that high gold value, which has been in there. It works in the IP. It has shown high-grade gold value several times, and we want to test that. On the northeast side, we're testing the system to the northeast and see what it is. Is it the end of it? I really don't know. I hope it's not, because we may have to go north. If we get some encouragement, then we go north. We don't come south. If we get average, then we come south, because we have to fill up all this room with 100 meter, 200 meter spacings at a time to create our zone. Now for the drilling. Why drilling is taking long to, because we have to set up many, many things. We're going with one drill to start. Hopefully we see how it goes. And we drill this site. If it was a project with 200, 250 meter drill hole, I could have drilled many holes, and it's easy. You can find any drill machine to bring it there. They can do 200 meters, 250 meters, but our targets are 650 meter plus. We want long holes all the time, because I need the volume, and this volume has to be created. and our criteria is really good for that large volume. Bigger things take longer. Still, I'm working on several other locations plus to those, which we will announce them in an update hopefully soon. Once we get our consultants, they agree on those drill locations, they approve it, then we announce it and we give the all-in-all plan of what we're doing in the short time, and we go from there.
Let me just stop you there. So you're drilling 650-meter deep holes. Can you talk about the productivity, the speed of drilling? I'll preface that by saying the first meter that you drill, well, you're right at the ground. The drill goes in, you extract 1 meter of a core sample, and it doesn't take very much time. And I know it takes, let's say it takes a half a day to do that. The second meter, the drill needs to go through the existing hole and then take another meter out. And then that core sample needs to come back up through that empty 1 meter space, and so on and so forth. So can you just talk about the productivity and how it actually decreases as the further deep that you get?
After the drill is set up, which is normally takes 4 or 5 hours to set it up and take basically 2-3 meters out of it, then the drilling really starts. And that the start of the day, in normal cases, nothing happens, there's no fault. It goes, and average, we've had that 300 feet, 100 meters a shift. The second shift, maybe 100 meters, maybe 95 meters. As we go down, the speed gets lower. On average, we should get 100 feet a shift throughout 650 meters. Now, if we go deeper, it goes slower. Look, for instance, 700 meters rock to be taken to the surface, it takes about half an hour to 40 minutes.
Okay.
That's a long
time. Just to traverse that distance,
right? To get 3 meters out, 10 feet out.
Okay.
That's how it takes.
So what's and I know that you could the composition of the ore is inconsistent, right? So you might have a section where the drill can go very quickly, and then you'll go through parts where it's hard to get through, and you don't know what the future is until you actually do the drilling, right? But just on average, what do you expect the number of days it would take for a 650-meter hole?
I expect for 650 meters to be about 10 days.
10 days, okay. And what's the setup time to move the rig, disassemble it, move it, reassemble it?
The worst one I've had been 24 hours.
Yeah, really?
The average I've had 4 to 5 hours, 6 hours.
Okay.
I've had an hour and a half too.
Okay, so is it just like a day? So if you stop drilling, let's say 5 p.m. today, and would you be ready to go the next morning in a new location?
Yes, average, give or take, that's how long it takes. The guys have to take all the rods out, collect them, make them clean, and then move it to the new location. It takes 2 hours. They move it, they set it up in 2 hours, then they start drilling.
Okay. So for these 4 holes, is it fair to say it's going to take 45 or 50 days?
Yes, I believe it's a little faster, but I want to keep it at that level.
Okay.
I believe it's a little, I'm hoping to get more holes out of this.
So end of November, end of November-ish would be a long, a slow target. Yeah.
Yes, there's personnel fatigue we have to have in mind. Nowadays, we have 2 tests that has to be done on every employee going up there, and they have to do antigen test, and it has to be formal. It has to be vetted with, even though they have vaccination. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. They have to go through that. There's a protocol on that, which is time consuming, and we're going through that, all of them. That's why it's been, we're a little bit at the mercy of the time too as well. But we're lucky because our project is the only almost project that I know of without going to bad hurdle of the winter time. We can drill it at any time right now, and we can go through. Of course, Christmas time, going through the drilling is really hard for several things. Going in and out is hard, but staying on the property is okay. Plus, believe it or not, all people that we always bring, they don't like to stay during the Christmas time, and they want to
Yeah.
go through the holidays and New Year and etc. So we
Mm.
got that, and then once the New Year starts, hopefully we will see. But let's see if we are in there for the New Year.
Okay. Well, so it sounds like you'll keep drilling through the end of November on these 4 holes. Do you know, do you have an idea about where the next set of holes is going to be? Or do you need to see what you find from these 4 step-out holes?
There are two factors. First of all, as I said, I'm gonna announce like where we're gonna target next. Second, this previous holes, as they are done, one at a time, they may force us to do another hole, which we don't have it planned, but in the same area.
Okay.
That's what we have to do. As the geology shows us, the geology obliges us, forces us to do extra things as we go. And thank God, that's when we're successful.
Right. And that's the frustrating thing, I think, on the investor side is we expect you to know exactly where you're going to go, exactly how many holes, and to give us an exact time when the drill plan is going to be completed and the 43-101 can begin. I think, practically speaking, that's not possible. Like you did the IP scan, you know what the size of the porphyry, you kind of know the shape and the extent of it, but it's just an IP scan. You don't really, as we say, the proof is in the pudding, right? Until you put the drill in to the ground and retrieve the core samples, you don't know exactly what you've got. So can you just talk about that? Like, you've got these 4 holes, and then what do you think is going to happen next with the next set of holes? And then, like, is there any way that you could even put an approximation on the number of holes that you think you're going to need before you can get a 43-101 done?
It's really hard to say that.
Okay.
There's no number
Fair
you can
enough.
put
Fair
on
enough.
it.
Yeah.
But I give you one example. Every hole, you have it mineralized, roughly give or take in a porphyry, because I've done modeling in the past. I used to put a criteria of 100 meters around it for qualified person to do the resource calculation, because I am a modeler as well, because I was modeling all of these. I'm still doing but this time I'm doing that for our own project. And it gives you one radius of about 100 meters radius around it.
Okay.
It depends on the geology, many other factors. There's no faulting and etc. Having all of those in mind. But how are we going to, and it is inferred, because at some point someone has to come and do the drilling every 25 meters to put it into a feasibility study. That's not our job. We're not into that. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of coordination, and it takes 5 drill rigs on the property.
Okay.
And lots of money to do that. That's not our job. But generally, it's hard to say. One drill hole can change our life and completely throw everything out of the window that we have planned in the past. For instance, we get 200 meters of dreaming, 2% copper, 400 meters of 2% copper. Then our criteria completely will be changed. The new game will come into town.
What's the approximate lateral and longitudinal, size of the property? Is it like 2 kilometers by 3, 2.5 by 3.5?
No, it's about 3.5 by 5 or 6, 5 kilometers, I believe.
Okay.
But what is important at the lag zone, I surprised myself. I just looked at it right now. I see we have about 550, 600 meters laterally, and with drill hole 30, the 2 drill holes there that we're going to do, we're going to expand it another 100 meters on each side.
Okay.
It makes it longer. And then the length, I'm hoping, by the time this campaign is finished, first we increase the length for about 1 kilometer, and the second one 2.25 kilometers to the south, and then we start infill drilling.
So just the Lao zone then. So you got, it's 500 going to 700 meters wide. What's the vertical well, call the vertical distance the other
Yes,
dimension.
north-south is
North
about
south, yeah.
2.25
Okay.
or more,
Okay.
because we don't know yet.
Okay.
But how are we sure on the south side? I have been to that place. It's over 400 meters, has been sampled, and the grades are going um, 5, 6, 8, 9 grams gold.
Yeah.
Cobalt goes to about 10, I believe 5,000 grams per ton, and copper goes up to 7% in the historic data that we
Yeah.
have, and it's completely sampled by our geologists during years before we take over the project. I'm very confident on that place, and I really like it. I'm looking forward to drill that, but first we go to the north, then we come south.
So the Lao zone is 700 meters by, call it 2,250 meters. So
Yeah.
that, if you have to drill, are you saying you have to drill every 100 meters throughout that? Because that's 160 holes.
Yes. No, not really like that, because
No. Okay.
when you drill the hole, you drill it laterally. You don't do it vertical to be one
Mm,
spot. You
okay.
cover a zone, you cover another zone, you cover
Okay.
another zone. That
Got it.
gives you volume. Maybe in one stretch, 3 holes, maybe do it all.
Okay.
You don't need that much.
Okay. So that's about, so 160 divided by 3, that's what, 50, call it 53, 54. So 50, let's say 55. Is that fair enough that you need 55 holes on the Lao zone?
Maybe it's too much, but
Yeah.
yes, it
Okay.
could be a lot more. It depends what we find to the north. We
Okay.
can't stop it. As we find extensions, we move and move to, at some point, we got to come with a drill hole that has nothing. It's countertop
Right. Right.
mineralization 0.
Right. And that's like you've done the IP scan on the property. So you expect to know when you'll find just rock, right?
Yes.
Or nothing. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
All right. And then so you got the Lao zone, the ozone, Hui. What's the fourth zone?
Hoi zone. So
Yeah.
we have the live zone, line north,
Oh,
Hoi,
north.
ozone.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
haven't touched the D zone, which is to the southwest. We haven't spoken about that. That's a big
Yeah.
Gaussian area. Surface sample has, soil sample has returned 55 grams per ton gold in that location. And then we have to the north of ozone, which is completely a new area. And in that area, we see lots of sinkholes with chalcopyrite right at the surface.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, time is not always, the best
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time.
Yeah. I mean, because you're talking years and years to drill all these out. The focus is the Lao zone, correct?
We don't have years and years.
Yeah, exactly right. So, okay, so the focus is on the Lao zone.
Yes.
You anticipate doing more drilling in the ozone or Hui?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But
Okay.
right now, my focus is on the zone, Hoi and Lai zone and North Lai. I'd really like to focus on that.
Okay.
Always, I have the plan to do one extra hole somewhere else to see what the potential is. And the
Okay.
next one, of course, follow up on the ozone, because ozone is right now has shown mineralization. To me, it's a very significant technical discovery.
Yeah.
Technical discovery on the Lai zone started with drill hole number 6. That
Okay.
gives me the same criteria. So I got to move on that and follow on the geology. So one risk plus doing the mineralization drilling.
Okay. Is there benefit? I'm just thinking from the investor side standpoint and the term conclusiveness I mentioned before. I think, investors, I think, would like to see some conclusion on at least one of the zones. Like I would love it if you would just drill out Lao as well as you believe you need to drill it out in order to pass those core sample assay results over to a qualified person. Is that how you're going to be approaching the other zones, like finish off Lao and then move on to Lao North and Hui, etc.?
Business point of view, yes, we like to do first close off the live zone and say this is what we have, but at the same time, we're not going to stay here for. If worst comes to worst, yes, I stay to do the mining.
Yeah.
I've done many other things like, I started from scratch. I will do that. But I like to, at some point, give it to somebody else to go after the big items, because we don't have, let's face it, we don't have expertise, we don't have the financing that it takes to do all of these. But at the same time, you got to have some other things to say, okay, this is my Lyle, and this is the O zone, and this is the D zone, and this is the other zone. Take a look, because you want to get some credit for those.
Yeah, sure.
In the future.
Sure. That makes complete sense. So, okay.
Yes.
All right. That's, I guess I try to pin you down before on a date, but I'm getting closer. So you're drilling through holes 41. You're saying you probably need, well, I just guessed before, probably 50, 55 holes. You thought maybe that's too much. Do you think we're going to end up, well, obviously you'll end up between 42 and 50 holes before, when Lyle is drilled out. If you, let's say it's 50 holes, we're talking, I think, is it early next year, Q1, Q2 for conclusion of these 50 holes in the Lyle zone, at least? Is that, can I make that statement?
It's hard to say right now. It's a forward-looking statement. Once we get this drilling concluded this year, then we know what's going to come next. Yeah, as I said, if I come up with a drill hole with significant number, I have to change all the plans.
Okay. I get it.
And go with the same plan. But, and vice versa, the other ways, we have to roll back and rethink it. I think I have done lately one study on the resistivity of north of what you see as IP. That's why I'm planning to do an IP even to the north, not for us, hopefully for the future people that they want to do it. But I want to sell it in a way that they know there are potential to the north and there's more to come. That's why it's really hard. We don't have big plans, I mean long plans, but I have big plans for short term. Hopefully, let's do it. Let's do a resource calculation and give the baby to somebody else to take it to the next level.
Okay. Well, look, Farshad, we've been going on long enough. I think the video is already pretty long.
Yes.
You've been very generous with your time. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Anything else that you wanted to just say to the investor community before we wrap this up?
My only worriness is that I receive calls. There are people, I don't want to insult them, but their business is not this business, but they comment on several things that they are very technical, and those technical items, you know it, we had just a conversation prior to this and lit up a lot of things that now you know what it takes to do one single sample, and we have to be cognitive. We cannot hold any information and hide them or keep the news releases going out, because that's against the securities law. But once they are concluded, we come up, everything step at a time. I'm very, we have to stay in the course of this law and abide the law. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. So rest assured, I'm really aggressively working. As you can see it right now, I'm at work. I was at work yesterday too, and working, diligently on this. Let's get it to the next level. And good criticism is making a project working better. A bad criticism is just waste of time. Please don't go after those time wasters. Thank you for that.
Okay. All right. You asked me before to speak some Chinese, so I'll end up on that. So 感谢大家的时间. And so thank you everybody for your time, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
See you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Of course. All right. See you.